Welcome back to Soluna Computing's channel modular scalable data centers that convert wasted renewable energy into computing power for intensive batchable applications such as crypto mining and now obviously cloud and AI. Joining us to discuss some recent news, John, the CEO, as always. Welcome back, sir.
Thanks, Kyle. Great to have you. Realize I didn't set my background up. I got to choose which lovely background I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Right now I'll go to my.
Oh, there you go. The dystopian, the future.
Yeah, my dystopian.
A little darker, but
What's going to happen with AI and everything?
yeah, I think it resembles what's going on here. All things considered, I mean, you guys kind of went through a little bit of a volatility, I'm sure, because you were really focused on crypto in the beginning. There's a little bit of correction in that, but crypto's coming back. I mean, you're talking about cloud computing and AI, and you guys are really changing the landscape of how power is affecting this. Because obviously, in this green renewable future we're heading toward, you guys have found a very unique solution to this. But let's start with the AI. I mean, you just announced that Soluna ventures into that AI hosting with a co-location agreement. What exactly is going on with that?
So we're focused on a couple of things recently. Number one, we're taking the core capabilities of the company. We're really good at finding renewable energy resources, solving problems for power plants, and then we're turning those into global computing resources. That's been our mission since the inception of the business. And our strategy has always been to start with Bitcoin because it's directly monetizable. You plug in machines, it starts creating revenue. And we were hopeful that the HPC side would sort of create this sort of grand opportunity, if you will, as it evolved. And we've been talking about that theory for a while. It's now becoming a reality for us because there's a tremendous amount of investment being placed into what is, by all measures, a transformational technology that's generative AI and large language models and their application to just about everything that we can think of in business, research, services, et cetera. And so as a company, we've been focusing on two areas. One is the formation of a new AI venture that will take our core power assets and convert them to data facilities and a host of services that we're going to be providing. And we'll talk more about that in the future, perhaps another episode between you and I. And the other is looking at essentially taking our hosting business and extending it into a new market. So we do Bitcoin hosting today, and on the HPC side, there are opportunities to host as well. There are folks who are buying GPUs and building businesses around providing those GPUs as a service to other customers, and they need power and space to deploy that equipment. So we have been evaluated, and it looks like we have more inbound all the time for companies that are looking for more sustainable places to drop that equipment, because, and I'll talk about sort of why that's happening. And they're evaluating our company, what we're doing, and how we can grow with them. So all of these companies have a initial allocation of equipment, and then they want to grow that allocation over time. And so what we're doing is essentially making our Kentucky site sort of the initial drop point for folks like that. And then in the future, our Helix facility and its expansion will be a drop point for AI co-location. So folks are essentially buying our space and a host of other services from us to deploy their sort of GPU leasing or GPU services related businesses. So what we announced just now is we signed one of those at Project Sophie. We've been working on that for a while, and this company has fantastic potential. They are backed by some of the top AI and former crypto investors in the past. They have a very clear vision for where they want to go and the niche that they're going to build out in this space. And we're hoping to be a robust partner for them. They want to start with a small footprint, test our capabilities, and then from there grow very quickly over the next 24 months or so. So pretty exciting announcement there. Now, I want to talk a little bit about AI and why this is happening, why folks are starting to call us. And, I often say, and all the stuff that I write about, and I know some of our shareholders out there don't like when I put the CEO playbook, comments on Twitter, but there are the reason I write the playbook is those plays have driven the success of my entrepreneurship and this business. And one of those play comments I usually make is that, sometimes when you're in the innovation business, right, you've got to be a missionary. So you've got to teach people about the future and tell them where it's happening and why they need to be thinking a different way. And we've been talking about the intersection of renewable energy and computing for a very long time. And suddenly it's in everyone's psyche that there's this big transformational computing effort, and it's going to cause a lot of problems, maybe put us back on our train to, a climate solution. And that's because AI, as much as it is incredibly, beneficial to us going forward, it has problems, three of them. It's hungry for power. So if you're going to deploy AI capabilities, your data center has to be high density, high power consumption at these specific points. In fact, if you take a typical rack for computing, AI is 10 times the power density of that typical rack for your traditional CPU computing. It's thirsty. It uses a lot of water. Most hyperscale facilities use evaporation for cooling. So these machines get really hot and they need to be cooled down. And so you get this cooling system that pulls water out of the ground, evaporates it, applies it to the heat rejection, and basically cools the facility down. Microsoft, I've seen anecdotally for GPT-3 training used 2.8 million, almost 3 million glasses of water to train that model. And that says nothing about what it takes to do inferencing. So every time we type ChatGPT and ask it a question or ask it to write a paper for us, there's a lot of climate effects relates to that. And the third is that it actually ends up being a dirty technology, because most of the places where these things are being deployed are in population centers or areas of the country where the power mixture isn't as green as it is perhaps where a Soluna data center is. So our strategy is to carve a niche out there and say, we want to build data centers where you never thought data centers could be built before. And we're going to build them specifically to be AI-ready facilities so that we can provide a solution to a big problem. And that is that AI needs more sustainable energy. So that's how we're beginning to position ourselves. People are becoming attracted to that, and that's why it's bringing in more of these potential opportunities where we can partner with folks that are investing in the technology and the chips and building businesses.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating how you play within the vertical there, and power is probably the least conversated topic in the AI space, but is probably the most demanding. I'm sure when they're setting up these massive data centers like that, they're just trying to figure out how to get the power without, like, you think about charging an electric car, forget the electric car when you're building
That's
these
right.
billion-dollar
Huge billion-dollar facilities. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you also secured an 8.8 megawatt hosting deal with a leading Bitcoin miner. And obviously, Bitcoin's having quite a resurgence here thanks to halvening, ETFs,
Yeah.
all that stuff. Are you guys seeing kind of a bit of a resurgence in the business side of that as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. We're seeing a lot of folks who, they may have had high efficient machines, but no place to plug them in. Last year took a lot of capacity off the market, right? A lot of companies went bankrupt, and so build outs were frozen. So just not a lot of inventory, if you will, for some of the largest miners in the country to deploy their equipment, and they're on the hunt for sort of new infrastructure and so forth. So we've seen a huge influx of folks looking to partner with us, either at sites that we're planning to build, like Dorothy 2, or at existing facilities that we might have space in. And so we took that opportunity basically to upgrade the mixture of customers at Sophie and try to cut the best possible deals that we could to improve the profitability of that data center, that project, before the halving. And so that 8.8 megawatt project is a perfect example. It's significantly larger than some of the deals we've been doing before. We had one super large customer at the site, and when you have one primary customer, you just don't have customer diversity where you can optimize the structure of the deals. And toward the fall of last year, we started to sort of plan the conversion of that customer into a more mix of customers about that sort of size. And every time we recut those deals, we use the advantage that we have, which is that there's inventory scarcity. We have these sites that have really low power costs and great design to the facility to drive lots of efficiency. So that's attracted some very brand name miners that want to host with us. And so that 8.8 megawatt deal was an example of one of those where folks are really looking for the best possible place to place their machines to take advantage of what might be a great upswing in BTC, and also to optimize their profitability ahead of the halving.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate all this, and I'll pass it off to the viewers. We'd love to know what you think, and consider subscribing, because when news and catalysts continue to hit the wire, we're going to bring it to you here. But on the note, as always, we look forward to catching you in the next one.